allergic to screens when the quarterback is getting smashed over and over again, and you have an athletic offensive line that can run downfield and block, and you have a running back in Breece Hall that I would think is a top 3, running back in space in the league. The whole idea is get Breece in space. Don't run him into the back of the line of scrimmage and get blown up. If you're going to do that, do it more with Braylon Allen. If that's what you want to be, do it with Braylon Allen. So, yeah, the Denver film was relatively disgusting, and they got to be tougher up front, but I don't really have confidence that that's going to magically happen. I think they just need to – they should have blitzed more. Not a great Ulbrich game, but if you're looking for people to blame, you're not putting Ulbrich in the top 5. It's just odd that they destroyed Jacoby Brissett's life on Thursday Night Football with an all-time high blitz rate from this staff, and then they completely took their foot off the gas against Bo Nix. And also, it's not just pressuring Bo Nix, it's run blitzing. Disrupt the run. Your front's not tough enough and good enough to stop the run. Help them out with the blitz. So that's my summary of Denver, and hopefully they could flush it, although that's just an unacceptable loss in so many ways. Minnesota's going to be tough. There's no way around it. Flores is going to blitz. Now, if you watch the second half of that game, Jordan Love, who's not even at 100%, he's making big plays down the field. You can attack their secondary if you understand what's coming from pressure. And Rodgers is going to understand where the pressure is coming from. But that puts pressure on the skill guys to be ready. Look at the quarterback. Understand what you're trying to do. Don't just jog down the field, 20 yards down the field, looking into the stands. So they got to be ready to roll, and they don't have a ton of time to do it. As for the defense, I don't think Sam Darnold's going to have this amazing game. I think he'll be fine. Darnold's been really good this year, and you got to give him credit for that. Kevin O'Connell is one of the best coaches in the NFL right now. Aaron Jones, I'm more worried about Aaron Jones in this game than I am Sam Darnold. And I would actually go out, kind of swinging the sword here. I would pressure the hell out of Sam Darnold, like you said, Joe, and see if we can get one of these turnovers. One of the Jets going to cause a turnover through the air. You got to Darnold's going to make a stupid throw in this game. He might make 3 stupid throws in this game. Blitz the hell out of Sam Darnold in this game. Trust your corners. DJ Reed, if I'm going to give out a game ball in a losing game, he was the best player on the field against Denver. Shout out to DJ Reed. He's phenomenal. Sauce has got to be ready to roll against Jefferson. They got other weapons as well. Jordan Addison, Naylor. These guys are good receivers. They got a good offensive line. But I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think the Jets are going to come ready to play. And it's just a matter if they can get that one key Darnold turnover that flips the script in their favor to win by a field goal, by like 3 to 5 points in this one.
Look, you win this game. In some ways, it rinses out the taste from that Denver game. Of course, you'd always rather win the AFC game than the NFC game, but the conference is muddled enough and it's early enough in the season and you won your division game already where that's not going to ultimately really kill you. And I think most of us thought the Jets would be 3-2 after 5. So you get back to even if you win this game. And bigger picture, get the Jets to 6-5 at the bye week. That's kind of where my head's at.
Yep.
Get to 4-4, get to 6-5. And if you look at their last set of games post bye week, you basically would have to go 4-2 down the stretch because I think 10 will be honestly more than enough to make the playoffs in the AFC this year.
The AFC is looking rough.
We've said this script at multiple times over the past 2 years. They have to win the games. It would be very nice to get the proverbial vibes back, shake that shit stain of a game off. And look, the Jets are in prime time effectively 3 weeks in a row now, right? They're the only game on Sunday morning. They're going to be the only game on Monday night when we'll be there. I'll be there. For Jets Bills, and then they'll have the Sunday nighter against Pittsburgh. So they've been really bad in these spots lately, and it would be nice to go out and have an impressive win where it's not a house money game because the Jets need to win. You don't want to be 2-3 going into that Buffalo game, but no one's going to expect them to win this game. And if you could get a little confidence, you intercept Darnold early, you're up 7-0, you're up 10-3 or something, you're up at halftime. You have to hope. And he didn't come through last week. It's not all on him. He could say, I set us up for a 50-yard field goal. That should have been enough to win the game. You hope that Rodgers is up to the task. If he plays like he did against New England, he could outplay Darnold. And if the Jets have the best quarterback on the field, then you could win the game. And they are long overdue for a great Breece game, a great Garrett game, a great Sauce game, a great Quinnen game. They've already been getting great Quincy Williams games. Maybe you get great Mosley back for this game. That helps on early downs and helps with Aaron Jones. And it's not impossible, right? It's hard. I'm trying to figure out in my head if I like them to quote unquote upset Minnesota or Buffalo better. It's tough because they played well against Buffalo at home, even with no quarterback. They're both winnable games, although the Jets very well could be underdogs in both. So all is not lost, but I don't want to act like that loss didn't particularly sting. And I think it stung because it felt like a game of a different era that we've suffered through. The whole theory behind the case of Aaron Rodgers is you don't lose these statistical anomaly games where the quarterback throws for 60 yards and it's the defense allows 10 points and you lose. That's why you have Aaron Rodgers. So that doesn't happen. And Rodgers deserves to share the blame for the game. He missed Conklin. He missed Brees on what I think should have been a touchdown. I don't think he gets the lion's share of the blame, but I think that's why it particularly stung. And it's been a hard one to shake for Jet fans because it had that same old Jets energy. It was a rain-soaked, miserable, half-empty MetLife Stadium, as it should be with that weather. And, the opposing quarterback threw for 60 yards, and somehow they lost. And we've been watching that on repeat every year since effectively like 2011, with few exceptions. So it would be really nice to turn the page and get some juice and energy back in this season. And I think the game being when and where it is plays to the underdog's advantage. So in this case, I think that's a good thing for the Jets. Any final thoughts, CR, before we jump over to War Room and talk about the young pups?
It's going to be interesting to see how this team responds because I didn't think week one was embarrassing or shocking. Everybody's trying to get their legs under them. That's a tough draw, week one, across the country. Niners as basically as healthy as they were going to be all season because they've just been losing people since. And McCaffrey, I don't even know if he's going to play during the regular season anyway. But, you got it done against Tennessee. You really just kicked the shit out of New England. And then you got your pants pulled down against Denver at home. How do you respond? This is kind of when you find out about teams because let's be real. Nobody looks invincible right now in this league. I mean, the Ravens just gave you the blueprint for punching the Bills in the mouth. When you watch that game, I'm not saying Braylon Allen is Derrick Henry, but when you watch what Baltimore did, it makes you want Braylon Allen to get 16 carries against the Bills because their front has some problems, right? And I'm not trying to look ahead, but I'm just saying the Jets, from a roster and talent perspective, especially if they traded for Devontae Adams, have the unique ability to play any way you want. The thing about the NFL is, and I don't give the Jets coaching staff, I'm not giving them credit because they haven't shown they could do this. Defensively, they can at times, not offensively. But the good thing about a month into the season is now you have everybody's really lost, right? I know Minnesota hasn't, ironically, but everybody's going to lose. And you're going to have a blueprint of what their weakness is. Now we got what Buffalo's weakness is. The Jets are going to be able to respond because their roster is good enough to play anyway, but they have to be coached to play anyway. And they just lost to Denver. So it's going to be more on the staff. Rodgers is going to hold people accountable, which is sad. We have to rely on a player to hold everyone accountable more than the staff, but at least they have him. So that's why I'm so fascinated to see how they respond here because anybody could be beat in this league, and it becomes easier once the calendar flips to October. And I just think the Jets roster is good enough that they have no excuse when it comes to not being able to contend with anyone, especially if they did add a receiver. But you got to see it before believing it.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. War Room on the feed tomorrow. If and when there's big news, of course, we'll respond in kind. Feed will be packed regardless the rest of the week, including predictions and all that good stuff. We could actually record a post-game pod at a normal time due to the early kickoff. So let's stay tuned. I think it's going to be a busy and eventful week. Maybe, maybe not, but there'll at least be plenty of rumors. So let's hope the Jets could win and we can get back to post-game parties instead of post-game therapies. Thank you, and we will talk to you soon.